Hello and welcome to another episode of Quarantine with Fulbrighters, where we bring you the best and the brightest minds from all over Pakistan. Fulbrighters doing exceptional jobs, and today we have somebody from Gilgit. Salma Bano is an architect. How are you doing?
Fine, Alhamdulillah, Shahzad. Thank you for inviting me and giving me the opportunity.
No, thank you so much for coming on.
Share.
As far as I've heard, you're the first architect from Gilgit. Is that true?
Yeah, as per my records, there were some, I guess, but in the records, I don't feel like, but I don't know if somebody can, say that I'm the first. But yeah, from Hunza, I'm the first, but not in a journally from Gilgit-Baltistan. Maybe there might be some senior architects whom I don't know, but I'm the first from Hunza.
It's okay. Just say it. If anybody is older than you, then they can come and claim it and correct you. But till that happens, you're the first one as far as we are concerned. So let's go back into your journey. It's one decision that changed your life. Why did you decide to choose pre-engineering over pre-medical?
Yes, that's an interesting question. Okay, so back in those times, when I studied in Gilgit from public school, Gilgit, and it was the only, semi-public school in that area, and it was the most famous school in that area. And so when I got my matriculation, they started, then they started pre-engineering. So it was a new thing at that time. At that time, talking back in like pre-2000, something around like that time. So they just started the pre-engineering. So before that, the girls used to go just for the pre-medical, or they opt for, the teaching or the doctors. So that was the general norm, and that was the general tradition at that time. So the girls should go only to those two fields. So that was a new thing for me and my parents to allow me to go to pre-engineering. So I remember, I recall those times when I went into the school, the college, and got my admission in pre-engineering. My mother was so disappointed, and she said that why you didn't choose the pre-medical? Because I was good in maths, and we have a computer at that time in our house. So, doing maths and doing these calculations, going into computers, learning some basic things, I was really interested in those things. But and giving me that opportunity in college to, get admission in pre-engineering was a big thing for me. So I took the decision by my own self. That was the biggest decision of my life at that time. My father was always supportive, but my mother said that, you should have, studied pre-medical, and still she said that, what if you studied pre-medical?
Now that you have a PhD, or you're doing your PhD, still if these questions are arising.
Yes, I am pursuing my PhD in urban planning and management, and I just started it. Like, I have been into this program since last year.
So yes. How did you get into architecture from pre-engineering or after doing pre-engineering?
Okay, yeah. So interesting, again, a very important life decision. I guess the first decision that I took, that I should go for pre-engineering, was the biggest decision, and that, made me confident in my decisions, because I really, get good grades, not that higher grades, but at least some good grades in the pre-engineering at FSC level. And then I opted for, at that time, again, there was this that, okay, when you go to engineering, either you should go to civil engineer, or, not the other fields like mechanical engineer, or electrical engineering, and electronic engineering. So we have, for Gilgit-Baltistan, we have quota system, and we have limited seats. And one most important thing was, at that time, you have to compete with boys for the seat, for the quota. There was no a separate seats for the girls. But in medical, they do have the seats for girls separately, but not in the engineering. So I gave test for pre-engineering in UET Lahore and other UET Taxila. I went with my father. My father traveled me through all Punjab and everywhere, KPK. And he was my biggest support and said, okay, you should go and just give in the test. What if you just qualify for pre civil engineering? But during that time period, okay, architecture was again out of the box idea for girls at that time. Nobody ever heard that the girls should go for architecture. Even the field was not that, I would say nobody was aware of that, that there are architects, not with the male gender as well. So going as a female for architecture was a big, you know, uh, what should I do then?
I'm sure
So
your mother
I
was
took that.
shocked.
Yes, again, my mother was okay. You are going again. You are taking this decision. So let's see how it, proves to be good for you. But okay, at that time I went to, okay, then I got this information from the education department from Gilgit-Baltistan that there are seats in NCA, National College of Arts, Lahore, and they offer architecture seats there as well. So, okay, then I thought again, then I went back to myself and said that if I go for civil engineering is a very field oriented and very hardcore site and structures, and very, it's not an in between thing. You can't design, you just have to do calculations, and can't be imaginative that much, though you can. It has a lot of, you can create innovative ideas. In the current times you can see a lot of civil engineering marvels, but at that time it was not that the field was not that innovative. And you have to just construct the work in construction of bridges and go on site. And being a girl, again, just being on the site all the time is the tough thing. So I took and I said, okay, I reflected back and I said that, okay, architecture is one field where you get a chance to sit on the desk and be imaginative and be creative at the same time, and do this, maths and science and arts, and you balance all of these fields equally. So, you human being have these two brains, left and right side. One is creative and one is very rational. So maybe I got these genes from my parents. So my father, he is a writer, and he is a poet as well as a writer. He has written a number of books.
Nice.
So maybe I got something from him too. So I have this imagination thing, and as well as the being a rational.
I'm
So
sure
then
you've
I went
given
to
the
NCA.
same genes to your children. They're being very creative right now as well.
Yeah, my daughter, she is always good in giving me excuses, and why she should do this and don't do that. And she's being creative, yeah, with everything, coming up with stories. So again, coming back to my story, why NCA? Then I went back to NCA, and NCA, you must have, it's a renowned college, arts college. And again, my arts, drawing, I never learned drawing from anybody. In Gilgit-Baltistan, we have not this concept, drawing, what, nobody was there to inspire you or to teach you. So I do this, you have biology, those practical books where you draw, the drawings of body parts and all these, plants and everything. So maybe I sharpened my skill from there a little bit. So I was that much confident in my drawing. But in NCA's admission you have to give a freehand drawing test, as well as maths and as well as aptitude test. And when I went to the okay, they selected me, and I was amazed at this selection. Okay, I did something good that they are selecting me, and they invited me for the interview. And okay, the other students, when I see around, there were students holding their portfolios. I mean, and when they were showing me their portfolios, I was so amazed. I said, "Oh wow, they are so talented. How am I going to get myself into this college?" So again, it may be my luck and my confidence at that time, or something. They wanted me to, be part of that program. They allowed me to sit in, and without any portfolios, any strong portfolios. I did not. I just have those the sheets, the mark sheets of FSC and matriculation, and that's it. But the answers when they interviewed me, and I did good in the freehand drawing. So the teacher, when he told my father that, okay, she's going to get in because her drawing is really good. And my father was amazed. Okay, yeah, she can draw. Because they used to, make a model sit in the center, a human model, and then you have to draw fully with proportions and everything, the line quality. So these, and I learned few tricks from the seniors at NCA, uh, whom I met during that time, and they told me, you should do this. They were really, encouraging, and they taught me some basic drawing, techniques. So I learned within few days. So what should I do? How should
Amazing.
I do? How should I do?
So from
So that's how I got into.
amazing. So from Hunza, how much was it a culture shock to be in NCA Lahore? I'm sure you know what I'm talking about as far as the culture of NCA
Yeah, yeah,
Lahore is
yeah.
concerned. So how was that
Yes.
experience?
Well, that definitely it was a huge, huge culture shock for me, and that was the first time I traveled to Lahore. And just arriving at Lahore bus stand with my father and seeing all the rush and everything was so overwhelming for me. That was a cultural shock, that how people in a city are living with such noise. And I don't know if you visited Hunza or Gilgit, but they are quite peaceful. Not now, but at that time they were very peaceful. There were no cars, very limited cars, and not that populated. And when I landed in Lahore and I saw this, the number of people and the cars on the road, I get so scared. I told my father, I'm not going to live in this city, because this is so populated, so crowded, so noisy. And again, at NCA, you have this very open minded environment. And coming back from that background, that was in the first year. It was a hard thing for me to, absorb it, and to, get understand what is the culture of that area, the city. But again, I'm thankful for my roommates, my hostelites, friends. They were big support at that time. In any college, in any university, the first years are they really support each other. So everybody was new, everybody was from different background. And one of the good things about NCA is that it has a very diversified students from every area of Pakistan, from north to Sindh to rural Sindh, from Kashmir. So we were, everybody was new at that time. So everybody has got this cultural shock. But again, we got us into as a supporting system for each one of us, and we survived the first year.
I think it's quite tough surviving the first year at NCA. So how did you find out about the
Yeah.
Fulbright? I believe you have a master's in urban design from Georgia Institute of Technology. How did that come to be?
Okay. After graduation, I okay, the in between, I have a very good experience. When I graduated at after graduation at NC, I got a chance to work with AKTC on a conservation of a fort. And since they were in that area for a long period of time, and they have completed the conservation of Baltic Fort in 1996. So it was a huge gap. And after that, they started the work on Altit Fort from 2000. And during that time period, I started doing internships with AKTC. When I go back to Hunza during the architect, the female architect, and they were really interested in taking me in as an intern. They were encouraging me. So they played a really good, important role in my academically and my professional career. So Fulbright, again, I learned about, I was at that time everybody was they wanted to go for masters or doing further studies. I was searching for different scholarships. And during that time period, one of my friends from NCA, she said that I'm going to Columbia University. Once when I spoke to her, she mentioned that I'm going to Columbia University, and I asked her, I inquired about it. How do you get it, and are you financing your own self? Then she introduced me to Fulbright. and what are the procedures, and I get more interested in all the procedures, how you apply, how you get to the process, and how long it takes, and how rigorous and how complex it is in the beginning, but more rewarding towards and when you achieve it. So she really inspired me, and she really encouraged me to apply for it.
So how much of a culture shock was that, going from Hunza to Lahore and now to Georgia?
Yes, again, okay, when I learned about Atlanta, so my parents were like, okay, you want to pursue again something different, go ahead. So my father and my mother said that, okay, you are going, to a very far land where from our family nobody can reach you, but we have a confidence in you because you lived in Lahore, you have survived that, and we are sure you will survive there too. So when I landed, because Atlanta, when I searched for Atlanta on Google, I learned that Atlanta, what type of city it is, and what type of university. And so when I went there, because in 1996, before 1996, Atlanta was famous for its, the high crime rate in the city. And then I get really, scared. But when I landed in that land, it was so inviting. It was so, welcoming, and it was a very good experience. And again, my professors at the university were encouraging. The international office there, they were always supportive. The Fulbrighters whom were already there, they were very supportive. So I did not feel any kind of a discouragement or any kind of not giving me any support, because Fulbright was always supportive and they were always answering my emails. So yeah, it was a very good ride for me in Atlanta and Georgia Tech.
Any embarrassing emails that you sent them? I can't live here. I'm missing home. Any one of those?
Okay, embarrassing emails, no. No, I was a I was not a kind, like I did not go directly from bachelor's to master's. I have a practical experience, so I became more professional oriented. So during my work experience, I was mature enough to don't, not sending those embarrassing emails that I'm missing, because it was again not that a longer stint. It was a very short time period for MS, and I knew that I have to come back. I have to do my just focus on my studies. And this was because I was going there after like 4 years of my bachelor's. In between, I have had a work experience, sufficient work experience, so that made me mature enough to don't send like
So
those
you already
such
had a degree in
emails.
architecture. Now you went to the US to study. How does that differ? How does the education received at Georgia Institute of Technology differ from what you were studying at NCA?
Well, there was a lot of big gap because at NCA, though the teachers encourage us to do a lot of reading and but in NCA it's more of an intuitive design thing, like out of imagination you just start reflecting on something and then just doing it. But at Georgia Tech, it's more of a rational attitude, evidence-based teaching, evidence-based research, research oriented, asking questions, asking the right questions and searching for the correct answers, or searching for resources which are giving you the right amount of answers to your inquiry. And so I guess, I mean, at Georgia Tech, I must say that it made me more more of a rational thinker, and but combine it with my imagination and be more like a that they say that design is not just an intuitive thing. It's not comes out of imagination, but you have to observe it and more evidence based too. So what is the current time frame? In the current education time frame, you are going for more evidence based education, right? Evidence based knowledge, rather being intuitive about something. So and again at NCA, okay, we don't have restrictions of time that much. So I was not that organized. Self organization was not there. And when you have to submit a project, it takes a longer time, and sometimes we have to just ask the professor to, can you extend our time or so. So it was a kind of a lenient attitude. But at Georgia Tech, whatever they ask you, you have to submit it on time. So that made me, very my time management has improved a lot, and how to use the library in the right way. That what it taught me, that library is a big resource, and you have to spend a lot of time in libraries. Just, you have to organize yourself, discipline more yourself, rather looking for somebody else to come and do your work.
So what are some of the things that
So
you learned as far as the degree is concerned, uh, that you still apply in your work?
what in terms of my urban design, you saying, or
Yes. So in your field.
in my field? um, in my field, yes, whenever my professors at Georgia Tech always ask me to go and do the, research, and go back to the history and search for things from the past, and connect the dots from the past, and then look at the present. And this what I do still, that whatever, if I have some questions, I go for the historical evidences first, and then connect those dots to the current times, and then look for the future, because the past is teaching you a lot of things, and that's how our present is, right? And that's how we are envisioning our future, how we are improving our future. So actually it taught me that how to link all of past, present, and future, and come up with a holistic attitude towards the project, and just not focusing on one thing, but covering all the socio-economical, cultural aspects in one project.
As
And
you were
then
talking
urban
about it,
design again is
as you were talking about it, I was thinking of Lahore and how sometimes we don't do that. Are there any jarring things about Lahore or the urban design of Lahore, that now that you know so much and you're also pursuing a PhD, that you think back and think these are maybe some of the mistakes or some of the things we can improve on when we think of Lahore as an urban city?
well, Lahore, as you know, every city, every big city is growing, and every day it is growing. So cities are like, my teacher used to say that they are the living, living historical evidences of the past, and they are, every day something new is coming up in the city. So when you read the city, you are actually going back to the historical, the storyline is complete, how it started, how it's shifted, and how it's going to be, right? So in terms of Lahore actually right now we have this biggest global thing, which is the climate crisis that we are facing. And then you have these United Nations SDGs, how we are achieving those. We have to be really very sensibly think on those terms. And Lahore was famous for its gardens. Lahore was a garden city, and there were a number of gardens. And during my NCA time period, there was we have this landscape architect from France. France is also famous for gardens, and it's for its beautiful picturesque gardens. And Lahore has hit the same, the notion of gardens, the beauty of gardens. The Shalimar Garden, you have this Lahore Fort, and again there Iqbal, the Jinnah Park, and along the Canal Road. So Lahore has a very strong identity of gardens. So he made a realize that how the gardens are important for a city. And in the current times, when we see the Lahore, we see that the focus has been shifted to more of an infrastructural kind of an attitude for the city. Just dealing for the cars. That the car is the main thing, and not the other aspects. City has to be vibrant. At that time, when I was in NCA, I remember we used to stroll with my friend along the Mall Road, because the NCA is at a very important location. It has a historically important. The Mall Road in itself has a number of very important landmark buildings, from your Punjab University to museum, Lahore Museum, and to Linton Market, and then you have old Anarkali, new Anarkali, and then when you go further on the road, you can see that the colonial, impacts and the colonial architecture. So it is telling you a very good narrative of at that time and how it had changed its architecture style, and it was a very nice kind of a walk. But right now when you visit Lahore, what you feel, you just see the number of cars, and nothing much. You don't focus on those buildings and the greenery along the road, just the cars and more of a noise and less of the feel of the city. So yeah, I miss that thing in Lahore, and even along the canal road. When you go by canal road, it gives you a very during in June and July, because I remember we have this summer break in June, July, August. So go back to our area, which was comparatively less hotter in summers, and it has a pleasant temperature. But in Lahore, you have these high temperatures. So how you're going to deal with it? And the canal road actually gives you this very cooling effect for the whole neighborhood, whole region. So you know, that's that what I can say, and I can go on and on
I
on this
We can
topic.
absolutely go on and
But
on, and city sprawls are also the bane of my existence, and what we're doing to trees, and even in the
yes,
expansion of Canal Road, what we did to the trees is quite tragic. But if we talk
yes.
about some happy memories, what are some happy memories from your Fulbright that you still remember?
Favorite memory from Atlanta. There are a number of memories, like when we go to for our site visits, for our projects, for urban design projects, studios, and one of the learning, one of the most learning thing during my studios in Atlanta was when we have to interact with the community, and so that was the biggest. Again, sorry, I missed that point, that in the university, they actually link the the students with the practical world, which is a very unique thing. Unlike in our region, we don't take students out into the public with the community interaction. So in all of my studios, I get a chance to meet the communities there, how they are working towards the betterment of their cities, their neighborhoods, and how they are participating in. And we have this studio. It was in Atlanta. There's a very famous street, which is the Peachtree Street. Again, a very historic, and it has a number of very important historic restaurants and buildings. So everybody really relate to that Peachtree Street. And we were studying those, and we were studying the neighborhoods adjacent to it. And our professor, he was very enthusiastic, very energetic. He took us. It was a 4 month long project, and we have every month we used to have this meeting with the city council, with all of the stakeholders, from
Wow.
the media people to politician to the normal locals, neighborhood, and anybody that is involved, to the businessman. And we have to present the idea. So it was not like we were doing studio project just inside the studio. We used to go to the community. We used to share that our presentation, that what we have achieved, what you should do. We studied the zoning bylaws, and we showed them how to improve, how to overlay the zoning bylaws. If they are going with this kind of zoning bylaws, what will happen, and if they will not, and what are the alternative solutions. So we were giving them the different strategies. And yeah, again, it was a very interactive and very great learning experience for me. And then again, in the studios, we have to go to other cities. In Georgia, I was not just in the Georgia Tech. I have a chance to go to different cities of Georgia State. And one of the city I would mention here, if you have time, time that they there the people used to go on golf carts. It's been quite a long time, but I still remember the city, how it feels. And this city was just filled with trees, and it was a very thick vegetated tree city, and people used to travel on golf carts to avoid the cars. And they have these golf cart tracks at the back, from the backyard of their home. Whenever they need to go for a grocery or something, they use the golf carts. So that was an interesting city study.
Interesting.
And
Hope
yeah,
we
with
can
every
live in beautiful cities with trees, and anybody who gets a chance to go to Atlanta, do visit the Coca-Cola Museum, because when we talk about history,
yeah.
that's my history, that's my people. That's what I loved the most about Atlanta. Thank you so much for your time. For anybody
Thank
who's
you,
listening
Shazan.
to this podcast from Hunza, from Gilgit, who might look at your story and think maybe she can achieve that, but we can't, because they can't even
Oh,
dream or
anybody.
imagine one day doing a master's from the US. What would you say to them to inspire them?
Just keep on working hard and believe in yourself and believe your in goals, and keep your goals higher. You can achieve it. Not now, maybe now, but in the long time, you will definitely achieve them. And just keep working hard and believe in your own self. Be confident and be consistent.
That's a great
That what
message.
I.
Thank you so much for your time, and thank you for listening. Take care. Bye bye.
Thank you, Shazan. Thank you.